All right, it's that time of year again. You know what I'm talking about, the fourth quarter crunch. For a lot of businesses, this brings up a really specific challenge. You've got money left in the yearly budget, and the clock is ticking. So what's the smartest way to use it?
So let's really get into this, because how you answer this question can seriously set the tone for your entire next year. Do you just spend it to get the books to zero, make a few internal investments, or is there a much more strategic play you can make?
To figure this out, we're going to look at a scenario that came right out of a management panel where leaders were wrestling with this exact question. It is a classic business dilemma for sure.
Okay, so picture this. It's late 2025, and you've got cash left over. You know the drill. The pressure is on to use it or lose it. So the moderator looks at this panel of execs and basically asks, all right, what's your game plan?
Now, the first two answers that came up are probably the ones you've heard a million times. They're kind of the go-to moves for a lot of leaders. But let's really take a look and see if they're the best options out there.
First up, we have the inventory play. Manager number one's strategy is pretty simple. Just load up the warehouse with stuff. I mean, it feels productive, right? You're clearing out the budget by stocking up for the new year. Then you've got manager number two's idea, the internal investment. This is all about spending on things like new software or sending your team on some training courses.
Both of these sound pretty logical, don't they? They even sound productive. But are they really the best, most strategic way to use that year-end capital? And this is where the whole conversation got really interesting.
So a third manager jumps in and points out all these hidden risks. When you rush to spend, you might end up buying a bunch of inventory you don't actually need, or you might invest in training that teaches, and I'm quoting here, useless skills, because you haven't really figured out what's needed. The big point is this. These moves are reactive, not proactive. They completely ignore the biggest challenge of all, the huge unknown of the year ahead.
So if the usual moves are just traps, what's the smarter way to go? Well, the third manager suggested a total shift in thinking, moving from just short-term spending to real long-term preparation.
This one quote, it reveals a completely different mindset. See, this manager isn't just focused on closing out the books for 2025. They're already thinking about how to win in 2026. The goal changes from just spending money to actively cutting down on future risk and all that uncertainty.
And this really captures the core idea perfectly. Stop using your budget to just buy things. Start using it to buy intelligence. You're basically investing in the knowledge that's going to make every single decision you make next year, from who you hire to your overall strategy, that much better.
So how do you buy intelligence? The manager laid out a super powerful tool, a full-on, comprehensive analysis of your market and your competitors. It's about turning all that guesswork into a rock-solid strategy because you actually understand the landscape you're about to walk into. You can spot the real opportunities and see the threats coming before they ever hit you.
And the manager didn't just throw out some vague idea. They actually pointed to a specific partner they trust for this kind of work. In this case, it was a company called Webintelligency, an example of a firm that delivers exactly this kind of critical intelligence.
You know, this strategic idea immediately clicked with everyone in the room. And that brings us to the final, and maybe the most powerful argument for this whole approach, the incredible return you get on that investment.
I mean, the panel's moderator just summed it up perfectly. This wasn't just a good idea. It was, in their words, the best value proposition they had ever come across. And why is that? Because an investment in clarity and foresight pays you back all year long.
So what does this best value really look like? The moderator broke it down. It's about getting high-quality, deep-dive reports. It's about getting insights that you can actually use, that are actionable. And it's about getting all of that at a fair price, so you're not just getting data, you're getting decision-making power.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? That leftover budget isn't a problem to be solved. It's not just a line item you need to zero out. It's an opportunity. It is the key to turning next year's uncertainty into your biggest competitive advantage. The panel's conclusion really gives us a powerful new way to think about that year-end surplus. So instead of just spending it, think about investing it in the kind of strategic intelligence that's going to make every other dollar you spend next year work that much harder for you.